Welcome back. Now, if you are a fan of whodunit crime dramas or courtroom-type investigations, no doubt you have seen my next guest at some point on television. I'm talking about Dr. Cyril Wecht, who is formerly the county coroner for Allegheny County in western Pennsylvania. That includes the city of Pittsburgh. And Dr. Wecht has a new book called The Life and Deaths of Cyril Wecht, America's most controversial forensic pathologist, and we're pleased to have him with us tonight. Dr. Wecht, what do you want folks to get from this book?
I hope that people will learn from the book what is forensic pathology, what is the realm of forensic science, how does it apply to the administration of justice in both the criminal and civil fields, what is the way in which society should look upon criminal justice and the administration thereof, and to be aware of the fact that even though we live in this great democratic society, that a lot of terrible things can be accomplished and have been done by people in powerful positions, a district attorney, U.S. attorney, and the state attorney general. So these are some of the things that I hope people will come to take away from the book.
Dr. Wecht, what would you say the primary misconception about forensic pathology is?
I think some of the misconceptions are, one, that forensic pathology is an absolute science and there's only one answer. And of course, that's not true. The only absolute science in the realm of medicine altogether, including forensic pathology, is cellular DNA. Medicine is not physics, chemistry, or mathematics. There can be different opinions. Number two, that just because an opinion is expressed by usually law enforcement or a district attorney in the prosecution, that does not mean that it is a correct presentation. It doesn't mean that it has been conspiratorially, malevolently contrived. It could be through negligence, ineptitude, subconscious bias, whatever the reason is. That if you look at the cases in which I have been involved, the cases in which my testimony has resulted in an opinion, a verdict, 180 degrees different from that which had been expressed going in, then you'll understand. It's not because of any magic wizardry on my part. I like to think I'm competent and articulate, but it's because different views have to be expressed in an articulate fashion. I also would like people to take away with the fact that forensic scientists are not always unbiased, that they are not always involved in a case without a preconceived prejudice by virtue of the position that they hold, especially in relationship to law enforcement agencies with whom they work all the time. So these are some of the things that I would like to have people understand. Also, by presenting significant capsulized versions of dozens of my cases in this country and some around the world, they'll get a better idea of how justice can be served and how sometimes it would have been thwarted if it were not for input from outside people.
And I'd imagine you'd say the JFK assassination is the most important case you've ever worked on.
Yes, that's correct. Not just because it involved the President of the United States, shot down in broad daylight in the fourth largest city in the country, but because of the way in which it was handled and the absurdity of the Warren Commission report. Yes, I've been at it and still very actively involved as chairman of a national organization, a Committee Against Political Assassinations, CAPA, which continues to conduct programs every year. And I have testified 3 times under oath on this case, once before a federal judge in Washington, D.C., when I was consulted by District Attorney Jim Garrison, trying to gain access to the autopsy materials, which the judge so ruled, but the government objected to and said they would, quote, appeal till hell freezes over. Then I testified for 4 or 5 hours before the Rockefeller Commission in '75. And then I testified before the House Select Committee on Assassinations in '78, giving my minority opinion over the 8 colleagues of mine, all experienced, competent forensic pathologists, who, while strongly critical of the autopsy and the way things were handled, nevertheless came to the conclusion that somehow the Warren Commission got it right.
Why do you think that was, sir, about the other 8? Why they went the way they did on that?
I think because My colleagues are deeply involved with various governmental agencies, some of them subconsciously, prosecutorially biased, the three unwilling to go up against the government and so on. And I know what competent forensic pathologists point out. There's no way in the world that if you gave them another case with all of these things, they would not be extremely critical. The autopsy was done by two inept, inexperienced, incompetent career naval pathologists who had never done a gunshot wound autopsy in their entire careers. They made observations of the head injuries that were very different from the observations made by more than a dozen doctors working at Parkland Hospital, where the president was taken after being shot on Friday, November 22nd, 1963. And then when they were confronted with the physical incongruity between the timing of the Zapruder film and the timing of the shooting of the alleged murder weapon, the Manico Carcano, they came up with a single bullet theory. One bullet producing 7 wounds in 2 men, bending and turning, twisting up and down, right and left, breaking 2 large bones in a 6'4" big bone Texan like Governor John Connally, and yet emerging pristine with a weight loss of only 1.5%. That's the single bullet theory. That is the sine qua non. Without the single bullet theory, you cannot have a sole assassin.
I think people reading the book will get a sense that someone such as yourself, who has spent a career making waves and ruffling some feathers, will end up getting pushback. What's the advice that you would give people reading this book and having those kinds of situations happen to them?
I don't want to sound like a great philosopher or so on. Gets to be rather egotistical. But I would say that, along with what you have just said, that people should take away from that you have to stand up for your beliefs, maintain your credibility, and not cower in the face of adversity. And especially if you're going to speak out on issues, because, you know, most people don't get involved in these matters.
All right, Dr. Cyril Wecht, author of the book, The Life and Deaths of Cyril Wecht. Sir, we appreciate your time tonight.
Ryan, I thank you very much for your courtesy and having me on the program, and pleasure. Maybe we'll talk again sometime.
And we'll be back after this.